Hey, and welcome back to the garden. This is our new puppy, Iris. She's another whippet, and her job is to keep Daisy happy because whippets need partners and friends. Right, Iris? Come say hi. Hello. She's a very sweet girl. So, what's been going on here? Well, it's been a, like usual, crazy year. Some things are going good, some things are not going so well. The early Fuyu Persimmon has really put on a humongous crop this year, and I put in some stakes, actually 2 of them. Where'd my other one go? No, it's over here. Yeah, I put 2 stakes in it just to keep it from falling over because it was already leaning, and I did not want the fruit to just yank it over. And we've had some windstorms. We had one tiny heat event that was like, I don't know, about 95 or 99. Yeah, 99 for like a day. And when that showed up, we had some wind that showed up with it. So most things were fine. So like the pears, they've got a pretty sturdy trunk, although you can see like the top is kind of blown over. I'm probably going to need to prune and fix that. Asian pears have like pretty sturdy trunks. The persimmons for some reason do not. They're like more wispy. And I had a problem with Nikita's gift, unfortunately. It like basically bent the tree in half. I'll show you what it looks like. So if I come around here, it's much better now, but I had to tie it up. Yeah, this is a good example. This was straight up and down before, and now it's bent at almost a 90-degree angle. It's starting to recover, but not completely. And what I did was I actually pruned some of the branches off of here because I was worried that there's so much weight over here that it was just going to rip it out of the ground. And luckily, if I had not staked it up, I think it was maybe 2 years ago now, it would have ripped the whole tree right out of the ground. So it's a good thing I did that, and I added an additional rope here, and I tied it off to the sea berry. So I'm learning that I need, especially for certain types of trees like apples and definitely persimmons, they need to be staked early on, even if they're on rootstock that should be pretty sturdy. And as far as like the garden experiments go, of course nature did exactly what I expected it not to do, which was every year it's been getting hot and dry, so I figured this year would be hot and dry, right? So of course it wasn't. It was cold and wet. And my seedlings that I started, this is Amaranth. You can see the little Amaranth dotted in here and there. They took a very long time to get going because the spring just kept being like crazy cold. So I planted the Amaranth a couple times. Looks like 2, 4, 6, maybe 10 of them took out of probably like 50. But the other problem is that we got a new puppy, and the dogs just like to destroy things. Here's the sorghum. I don't know how big this should be because I've never grown it before, but it does look like pretty small for how far into the season we are. This is like middle of July, so I feel like this should be, I mean, what's the old saying, knee-high by July? It should be at least twice as big. And then over here, I put sorghum in here as well, but the weeds just completely swamped it. There's one that took off. This one looks, decent size. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll see if we get some kind of pollination. It is now getting to be hotter and drier on a regular basis now. So I think we're going to go into our normal summer pattern now of no rain. So we'll see what happens. Black raspberries did really well. I'm really happy with them. We got probably at least as much as last year, and maybe even a little bit more. They're very tasty. Although you gotta be careful because they're covered in razor wire. So, if you've noticed the lack of videos, it's because I've been out here every single day picking. Oops, there we go. I wasn't focusing. Yeah, I've been out here every single day picking, so it's been like picking, weeding, just having a really hard time keeping up with everything. So, these are great. I don't know how some people were able to like film and weed at the same time. It's just too much work for me. So what else is going on? Well, early Giro's deciding to take a break this year. It's got maybe like, I don't know, 10 fruit on it. I'm really surprised at how like the trunks on these persimmons do not seem to be getting thicker at a decent clip. Like I've got this one staked and it's like maybe a little bit thicker than my thumb. It's a pretty, I mean, I don't know, this is probably, I guess 7 feet tall now, maybe a little bit more than that. You would think they would thicken up a little bit. I tied off Sijo to the Barlett Pair here. Same reasoning as the other ones. It's like mostly because the wind has blown them over and the trunks are just not getting as thick as I feel like they should be. Oops. Yeah, so like this one's getting pretty decent size. Oops, knocked a leaf off by accident. This one seems to be taking a break this year too, or the bees were just not out to pollinate it at the time that it was flowering. So, or actually, I think the more likely thing is the cold killed some of the fruit buds, flower buds. So definitely got one, and there's another one over there. And I think I've only counted like 3 or 4, which is disappointing, but you know, these things happen. In other exciting news, elderberries are doing really well. They're putting on a big crop. The Loquat has finally seemed to be coming in on its own. The last couple years we've had it here, I guess it's been 2 years now. It's put on like 1 leaf and then died, and then 1 leaf and then died. So it looks like it's finally digging in. Man, it's about time. It took a long time. And the yuzu's doing great. Look at this. I got some yuzu fruit. I think there's 3 on here right now that are developing. This looks pretty exciting. Oops. And the growth has just been amazing. I actually gathered up like a bunch of dog droppings and buried them on top of it. You know, I buried them near it, and I thought that I had overdone it because the leaves on it were doing this. They were just curling, and I read online that like claw look means that you've over-fertilized it quite a lot. But I also read that citrus really like fertilizer, or at least nitrogen. So to soak up some of that, I put some squash here, although they're not really doing all that well, probably because of the wood chips. And it seems like the yuzu has kind of grown out of this problem. The growth now it's moving along at a pretty good clip. Green tea plant, very happy. I got some bad lighting here. Yeah, this is doing great. I'm really happy with this. It's a nice evergreen, and we can make some tea out of it at some point if it gets large enough. Our blueberry here is doing okay. it suffered some dieback. Same thing as pretty much everything else. Like everything got hit really hard this year with the cold. And we had cold frosts that were like, I don't know, 30 days past average. Just like crazy late in the year. Yeah, these are doing good. I'm pretty happy with this. It seemed like, depending on when they were flowering, either the bees just weren't around, or maybe some of the flower buds died. I don't know, but it's like, it's strange that like all the ones here are fine, all the ones over there are fine, and then the ones under here, a lot of them looks like they either didn't get pollinated or didn't take. It's like this is missing a bunch, this is missing a bunch. And I noticed with the early Giro that it was under this willow tree. The tops of it, it's growing back now, but the tops of it got burned off with frost. So maybe the frost like settled under this tree or something. I'm not sure. Something happened. And then over here in the weed jungle, I took the side through here the other day and I uncovered a bunch of potato plants. It seemed like they're really happy. They're doing well, even though this entire thing is covered in bindweed. And I've tried for years now to get the bindweed under control. It is just unstoppable. So just let it go. Although the bindweed does not seem to be able to compete with comfrey. So if I were to turn the entire garden area into comfrey, it would work out great, although we'd have nothing to eat. The seedling apple is doing great. Although I'm a bit concerned that it's leaning a lot. Oh, look at this. Tons of amaranth here. Or I guess it's called pigweed. But does not seem to mind growing in this old wood chip area. Oh, maybe I should have put the amaranth over here. So yeah, check out how this tree is leaning. Holy cow. He's leaning a lot. This is Bramley Seedling on the top, and then over here is Wixen. And I got some decent pollination. And it's a little tree, so I'm surprised it's even growing. It's even putting on anything. This is only a couple years old. And it's doing great. So I don't know. There is a pruning method for. I forget what this is called. There's like a special name for these trees that like lean at a 45-degree angle. I might try to prune it like that. I'm not sure. Bramley Seedling in particular is challenging because it tends to flower at the tips. It's a tip-bearing apple. It's partial tip-bearing. It'll do some along the trunk, on the spurs, and then some along the tips. So you end up with kind of like a challenging situation where the more you cut off of it, the less you're going to have in the future. The growth in this thing is just crazy though. Look, I mean, it's really impressive. It's probably because it's on seedling rootstock, and also I read that Bramley Seedling is very vigorous. Here's some more Wixen. I'm excited to eat the Wixen if they actually come all the way to ripeness, because I had those at a farmer's market a couple years ago, and man, they were tasty. My daughter ate them all the way down to the core. So let's see. That's that. Oh, the other thing that's over here, my iris. There are some. Well, you probably can't see behind here. There are 3 blackberry plants that we put in that are thornless. They look like they're doing okay. So if those keep moving along in a good clip, I'm probably going to start, wherever I see blackberries, like right there or over here, I'm going to rip out the wild Himalayan ones and replace them with the thornless ones, because the land is telling me that blackberries are the way to go. And then last but not least, check this out. I got a seedling. This is seedling hazelnut, and it actually got pollinated, which is rather confusing because if you look around, there are no other hazelnuts anywhere around here. The closest one would be my front yard, which is probably 300 feet north of here, 300 feet east of here. And the thing is, the wind blows this way usually, so I would think that this wouldn't get pollinated and the other one would. But I looked at the other one in the front. I can't find any fruit on there, any nuts. And this one has a bunch. Well, not a bunch, but like they're visible. There's some. So maybe someone over there has, maybe somebody over there has a hazelnut that I don't know about. Alright, so this was kind of a long rambling video. I wanted to just talk about how things are doing. There's been some challenges and some tramps this year, like usual. Cherries basically completely failed. I'd say 90% of them are bad. Asian pears did pretty good. So it's another data point in the importance of having variety. Because if this were just 100% cherry orchard, this year would have been tremendously bad year. But since we've got persimmons and pears and cherries and mulberries and hazelnuts and apples and all the other stuff, every year, depending on the conditions, some are going to do well and some are going to fail. And maybe even in some years, some of the trees will take on some disease and die, and then you kind of swap them out for other things. So, yeah, diversity is important. And the other thing is that I'm trying to do next, I think, is the weeding burden is getting to be too much. So I'm trying to, especially in the front, underneath all the trees, just dominate the lower area here with low-growing ground covers, shrubs, just anything I can find that will just stamp out all the light, so that we're left with just nothing but things we selected in a kind of foresty type stacking of layers. All right. Say bye, Iris. Bye.